Hello, my name is Sean Moren, and for the last 5 years, I've been the terrestrial ecologist for Crater Lake National Park. I wanted to thank you for giving me a chance to talk about our forest restoration project and how we are examining its potential effect on the bat community in this area. Our main objective is to better understand the response of wildlife to our Panhandle Restoration Project. As you can see from the slide, the Panhandle is a 973-acre piece of land that occurs on the southeast corner of Crater Lake National Park. This project will be the park's first restoration project that involves both mechanical thinning and prescribed burning being used in combination to achieve our desired outcome. And we are hoping to use the wildlife and botanical research being done as part of this project to help support the addition of this new tool. At the time of acquiring this piece of land, the management strategy for wildfire was to rigorously suppress all ignitions to prevent loss of forest habitat and to ensure the safety of park visitors and property. Unfortunately, the result of this action converted this beautiful old growth ponderosa pine dominated forest into a dense mixed conifer forest composed of shade tolerant species such as white fir. Prescribed burning began in the Panhandle in the late 70s and lasted until about 2003. Unfortunately, the results of this effort caused a high mortality of the old growth ponderosa pine, the species that we were trying to actually promote. Therefore, we do believe that implementing a mechanical thinning first and then conducting a prescribed burning over subsequent years will be a better way to maintain this piece of land. One of the goals of the wildlife branch at Crater Lake is to develop a comprehensive bat species list and to better understand bat distribution in the park, something that we know very little about at this point in time. This is where I believe that the NA bat monitoring effort can really be of some help to us. The image on the right is a project we're implementing to determine the distribution and species composition of bats over time. These sites were selected and sampled in a manner that allows us to take our data and roll it up into the NABAT project. In addition, the image on the left is the 20 sampling locations we are surveying as part of the Panhandle Restoration Project that I mentioned. We're going to examine whether we can actually combine all 20 sites to be the representative species occupancy for that grid as part of the NABAT effort. I also wanted to mention that we are not just focused on bats. As part of the Panhandle project, we have sampled threatened and endangered species such as spotted owls. We're examining rare mesocarnivores such as the pine marten, Sierra Nevada red fox, and fisher. And we are looking at the small mammal community, including things like mice, voles, chipmunks, and ground squirrels. We really want to get an overall sense in the change that occurs to the wildlife community once we implement this project. And that's why adding bats only made sense because they represent a unique ecological niche and are relatively cheap and easy to sample. While we know bats use this area, it's really not what I would consider great bat habitat. There are some natural and artificial environments that are conducive to bat use, such as the openings made by the power line corridor and Highway 62 that run through the site. There's also Annie Creek that runs through the site and is probably being utilized by foraging bats. However, while there are flyways and foraging corridors for bats, much of the rest of the areas consist of densely packed vegetation. And it is our guess that the lack of flyways and likely low invertebrate numbers makes this a less desirable site for bats, something that we're hoping this project will change. We decided to use standard acoustic survey methods that are being utilized by a lot of researchers, which consist of a bat detector, in our case, the Pedersen D500X, and then a microphone that's mounted onto a pole raised about 3 meters above the ground. And then we point the mic in the most open direction of the forest in hopes of getting the most bats recorded. The restoration project is expected to have 3 treatment levels, ranging from a low to a moderate to a heavy, but the exact prescriptions haven't been finalized at this time. For the purpose of this bat study, we also added a control area to the northwest of the project area that has a similar habitat type. In total, we chose to sample 5 locations in each treatment and then 5 in the control area as well. And then sampling locations were also co-located with vegetation plots that are being sampled by our botanist, Jen Beck, to examine changes in vegetation as part of this restoration project. We sampled each location for 4 nights, starting approximately a half hour before sunset and recording until about a half hour after sunrise. Because of the limited number of detectors, we could not sample all of the sites at the same time. So we sampled 10 sites at a time for 2 sampling periods over a 2-week time frame. For the most part, our analysis will focus on the abundance of calls that we record at each site. A few of the things that we'll likely look at is lumping all 20 sites together and just looking at the change in the abundance of calls from pre-treatment to post-treatment. We also want to be able to look at the individual treatment units, so the high, medium, low, and untreated areas. And then we want to focus on individual bat species. If we are able to detect a statistically significant change, we can then use the vegetation data to see if there are any specific variables, such as canopy cover or shrub cover, that are driving the changes in the abundance of calls that we're getting. And then lastly, we're going to be working with Alice Chung McCoubre of the Klamath Inventory and Monitoring Network to see if the results from our project are comparable to the results from a similar effort that she's working on up at Lassen Volcanic National Park. Of course, a lot of this would not have been possible without the help of a number of people. They did a wonderful job and helped make this season a real big success. So with that, I wanted to thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call or email me. Thank you.